I want to go to Christian Prince for a moment, and then Matt, I want you to start thinking about unraveling. Since you brought up Jehovah's Witnesses, we'll start off there and talk about how they differ in some of these primary doctrines that you brought up. But Christian, one of the primary doctrines that Matt mentioned is resurrection, and of course that would deal with the preliminary there, the crucifixion of Jesus. And this is something that Muslims categorically deny, and they only have one verse in the Quran that deals with that, the crucifixion of Jesus, and that's, I believe, Surah 4, 157. Could you tell us what is going on there and why the Muslims have it wrong about Jesus and the resurrection?
Sure. But before I go there, the gentleman he called, he mentioned about a mistake or an error or contradiction in the Bible. You
Yes.
see, this is depend in your knowledge. Simply, the answer is very simple. There's one verse is counting more tribes, and there's one verse is counting less tribes. So there is no contradiction. But however, if anyone want to make contradiction, he can make it easy if you want to go against the belief. But we know. And trust me, we as a Christian, we read our Bible carefully. So imagine, after all what we learn in our life, we will believe in a book is full of contradiction. You need to ask yourself, how come still me and Matt and Doctor, we believe in Christianity if there is a lot of, what you call a contradiction or errors. So those who don't really, especially Muslims, by the way, they are the one who come with those questions as accusation, but yet they do not even know how to read their Quran. As an example, you mentioned to me the crucifixion. If you look at the verse of the crucifixion, chapter 4, verse 157, many people, I heard many TV stations, Christians, Muslims speak about it, but nobody noticed something there. You see, the reason it says that they did not kill the Messiah, nor they crucify him, but it was appear to them that he was crucified. Now, for sure, the Muslim story is saying that Allah, he makes someone look like Jesus, and that one, he was the one who was crucified, and that made the Christian believe that Jesus is the one who crucified. Now, this is story actually perfect for me to use against Islam. Why? Because you just confirmed the crucifixion of Jesus. To make it simple, imagine me and Matt standing in front of the cross of Jesus, and we have someone look exactly like Jesus, and we saw him crucified. So what our problem if we write down in our books that Jesus was crucified? We are not lying. This is what we saw. So the Quran witness to Christians that they are telling the truth when they say to you Jesus was crucified, because they saw that. And the truthful person is the one who say what he saw, not what he thought. All right? We saw that according to the Quran. The Quran himself, the author of the Quran, whoever he is saying it appeared to them. Now, if you ask the Muslims, who is the one who made it appear to us? They will say Allah. So it is the guilt is the guilt of Allah, not the guilt of the Christians, if they believe that Jesus was crucified, because he is the one who did make us believe in that. But there is something beyond this. I go deep in text more than since I was a child. I read things differently. If you read it at the text, you will see, you need to ask yourself, why really these verses exist? Like, what the point of saying that Jesus was not crucified, but it was someone appear like him? The fact is, we know that in the Bible, Jesus, after the crucifixion, he appeared again. And he appeared to his apostles, right? So then many, they come with the explanation is, you know what? Nobody can come from the grave back. It must be that someone else was crucified. He looked like Jesus, and because of that, Jesus appeared again, and he was still alive. So Muhammad, he copied from the heresy. You see, in the year 70s, the Romans start burning Jerusalem, and they destroy the temple of the Jews. And the Jews, when they saw the temple destroyed, they felt like God left them alone. So they scattered around the world, and including the Arabian Peninsula. This is why we see Jewish in the Arabian Peninsula. Like, ask yourself, what will make the Jews go all the way to Muhammad, little town in the middle of the desert? They are seeking security because the Romans, they are really hated them. So there is a group, it's called NASARA. This is what the Quran speak about. The Quran speak about a group, it's called the NASARA. Those are the one who the Quran always describe. And the word NASARA, by the way, it's mean the helper of the Messiah, the one who stand up with the Messiah to help him. This is what NASARA mean. So those people who they are Jewish, who became NASARA, and those NASARA, they don't believe in Jesus that he is the Son of God. They don't believe in him that he is divine. They believe in him as a great prophet who was, not crucified, but it was someone else appear because they saw him after the crucifixion walking between them. And there is no explanation for that except must be someone else. So those people, they carry these ideas with them when they went to the Arabian Peninsula. And Muhammad, he copied from them such a thing. But the verse itself, which is very weird, it's confirmed that we are right, confirmed that our Bible is did not change, because when you say to me that they crucified him, but it was someone look like him, that's mean we are being honest. Because imagine we waited 600 years, and then someone, he will say to you, oh, it was someone look like Jesus 600 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. And the Muslim, they say to you that one of the attack they use against Christianity, that the old manuscript you have, it's about 200 years before Christ. That's what they say. So how you can trust it? So I want to give the question back to the Muslims. You don't trust 200 years after Christ, but you trust someone 600 years after Christ? One verse will destroy the crucifixion of Jesus after after the crucifixion of 600 years, and you trust that. So Muslims, they have no logic. Muslims, they have no base. And Muslims, as I said, Muhammad, he just took from those NASARA, those Jews who became Christians, who, let us say, became NASARA, not Christians, sorry, and they came with an idea, and he took from them the idea, and he took from others, and from others, etc. And then this is why you see Muhammad, he have wrong understanding of the Trinity. Like, if you ask any Christian in the world, with no exception, what is the Trinity? He will say to you, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. If you go in the Quran, it says that, it says the opposite. It says God is Allah, and then Jesus, and then Mary. So according to Muhammad, God have sex with Mary, and they have a son, his name is Jesus. This is how we understand the NASARA belief. But this is not our belief. He must be speaking about different group, have nothing to do with us. So Muhammad, he took the wrong Christianity, let's say, or the counterfeit of Christianity, and he put it there, and he make it as if it is us, because he himself is ignorant. And actually, if you go in the Quran, you will see the Quran says in chapter 42, verse number 52, that we gave you the revelation from our spirit, or from ourself, and you used to know nothing of the book, and you have no faith, which confirmed that Muhammad was a person have no book to base on. He have no Torah. He have no book. Read the verse. I wish the TV, they have the ability, they can post the verse in the screen. Chapter 42, verse number 52. Muhammad, you used to have no book, no scriptures, and you know nothing of faith. And then the Muslim, they say to us that Muhammad, he was a person who followed Abraham. How the Quran says to him that no, you don't know even what faith is. Read the translation, any translation you want. So Muhammad have no faith. He do not know even what faith. He was not a believer in Abraham. So what he was? Simply he was a person who do copy other religions, and he paste in his book without even understanding what he is copying. It's like a thief who copy, paste, and when you ask him a question, he have no answer. This is why if you go to the Quran, you ask any Muslim, do you have interpretation for the Quran made by Muhammad? They will say no. The first interpretation for Quran, it was made by At-Tabari, which is 300 years after Muhammad. Question, why Muhammad himself did not give interpretation when he is the one supposedly he will give interpretation? How come Jesus, he stand between the group and he speak and he answer people, he debate people, he give them the interpretation. He asked them, what do you say of Jesus? They say he is a son of David. He said, if he is a son of David, how David call him my Lord? Jesus is giving interpretation, he is giving answers, and when you ask Muhammad, there's no answer. He come to you with the answer only Allah knows. So what the point of you, why you are a prophet, why you are sending me a scriptures which you yourself cannot understand? And this is why today we have tons of interpretation, and then after the interpretation is done, you will see there's interpretation of the interpretation, and then there's interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation. To make it simple, like I can make now interpretation of the Bible, and because it's not clear yet, then Matt will make interpretation of the interpretation of Christian Prince, and then there's someone will come after Matt, and he will make interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation. That's because the Quran is a false book and contradict itself and is full of stories. They have no connection. So Islam have nothing to do really with Christianity. Islam is using the name, using titles, and let us say even using the phone number, like call me 1-800-God, you know. But that's a fake number, that's a fake name, it's a fake understanding, and Muhammad himself is fake, and the witness is the Quran, because the Quran says Muhammad, he has no faith, he have no scriptures. This is why the Quran call him al-Ummi. If you ask a Muslim what Ummi mean, he will say to you, the word Ummi mean illiterate. He cannot read and write. The fact, no. The Quran divide the people to two kind of people, the Ummiyin and the people of the book. You know, if you ask yourself why the Christians and the Jews was called the people of the book and everyone else was called Ummiyin, simply because it's considered anyone who is not knowing God Ummi, which means illiterate. So it is illiteracy about God, not about reading or writing. Because imagine all the Christians at that time, they know how to write, how to read, and all non-Christians do not know how to write, how to read. So this is a very naive understanding of their own books and scriptures. But because simply those Muslims, they don't want really to go deep in their scriptures, they don't want to study and research, so they decide that the word Ummiyin must be, Muhammad was Ummi, mean he do not know how to write, how to read, and this is simply impossible because Muhammad was a business who do trade. And I never heard of someone, he do trade, he do not know even how to write numbers, because you have to write numbers, you have to make deals. It's a trade business. It's impossible to be Ummi and you are illiterate. So simply, the Quran confirm actually our faith. All what you need to do is just read carefully. Don't let someone else read for you. Read carefully and go deep in the text. And then you will see that, as the Lord, he said, the truth will set you free. And the truth is, even I can prove to the Muslims, I can prove to the Christians from the Quran that the Messiah is their Lord. Imagine, the Quran is a very weak book. You can defeat it. It's so easy. All what you need to do is just earn the knowledge, and the knowledge can free you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Christian. It's interesting. I gave him one verse to deal with, and he could write a book on that. But the one verse on dealing with the crucifixion in the Quran counters a good portion of the Gospels, because the four Gospel writers focused on the whole idea of the resurrection and the crucifixion. And so it's very interesting how you find that one verse in the Quran that counters that. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to get back to Matt and look at some of these cults in more detail and as they deal with some of the primary doctrines of Christianity. So, going to take a break, listen to what the message is coming up, and then we'll be right back on the other side of the break. Thank you.